ID. So we need 5 at the door. All right. All right, you're good. You go inside.
Everybody, I have the members of Chromorama here. So these guys, I do a lot of like DIY emo stuff. And this is my first real, like, I'm going to call you guys a metal band. What do you guys call yourselves?
Oh, that is the question, my man.
Right.
That is the question.
Yeah, go for it, Jeff.
I was gonna say, I mean, when people hear it, I mean, normally like we'd say like between like metalcore and hardcore. I mean, that's like the easiest way to put it. But I think, when we talk to people about it and what they tell us, it's always like we get so many different bands that we like wouldn't even think we sound like. So I don't know. It's like up in the air, but I'd say like metalcore is probably the closest if you like gave us a full listen.
All right, dope. Okay, so why don't everyone go around and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what's up? So I'm Jeff. I do vocals.
Yeah, I'm Zach. I play bass.
And I'm Cam. I play drums.
Okay, that is the easiest fucking shit in the world. Sick. Now you kind of brought up a good point with this whole metalcore metal thing. There's so many. I think metal in itself is a little. It can get gatekeeping because there's so many labels where it's like, no, I only listen to black metal. No, I only listen to thrash metal. Do you think that because you feel like you're breaching a bunch of like protocol in a way between like what your sound is, do you think that is like been a positive impact, or does it just more confuse fans?
I think for us, it's probably been a mix of both of those, right? Like I'll start with the negative and then go to the positive. On the negative side, a lot of times when we're looking at shows, we're either the heaviest band on the show or we're the softest band on the show, which is weird with us being a metal band. So I think a lot of times people just don't know where to place us, which can be interesting. But also I think because we fit somewhere in the middle there's kind of something for everybody. Like we've played shows with like pop punk bands, like folk bands, like we've played with some pretty out there genres for typically what metal bands play with. And generally those people are like, oh no, you guys are rad. Like I don't listen to metal, but I dig what you guys are doing. So I think it's been a positive for us. We haven't experienced the gatekeeping thing too much, I'd say, but I definitely know that's out there.
No, and I totally get that. I think that I live in Nashville. And so like one of the weird things about Nashville metal is like, or just Nashville, anything, and it's alternative, anything that's not like fucking Broadway, country, pop, anything like that, which is, Nashville is really eclectic in that it harbors some incredible musicians that are not a part of that shit. Sure. So because of that, and through the lens of we'll always be in the shadow of whatever this Broadway music, country, pop thing is, there's no gatekeeping. And so like we never get to experience that because everyone's just happy there's something other than country. So where are y'all based out of?
Yeah, we're in Indianapolis.
Okay, sick. So do you guys consider that part of the Midwest? Like are you guys a Midwest, metalcore band?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I think when you think about it, normally that's what you hear. So I mean, like we come from a line of like, you think of like other bands like Haste the Day, Gwen Stacy are all from here, and they are a line that you think of like Midwest metalcore, like those are like the huge bands you get. So
okay, cool. So that kind of brings it to my next question. Inspiration for Chromorama. Like you guys are, first of all, your vocals are crazy. It makes you want to like drink Surge and like punch a hole through my wall. It's so sick.
I might have done that.
Yeah. True story. When it comes to that, your inspirations, like I think that it would be great to just know what those are.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead. I think a lot of us will say, I think it's, at least most of us will say, like, we all listen to different kind of stuff. But if I had to go for like purely sound, like how we sound and stuff, for me, it's a lot of like Southern metalcore, like old, like Ferret record bands. Like, I mean, like our biggest influence of all time is like Every Time I Die. And they're from Buffalo.
Shout out that,
like,
R.I.P.
Yeah, like rest in peace, right? You know, and like both of their bands coming out of that are incredible. But like that's for me, it's like it was always like Southern metalcore. But like when it comes to like actual like writing and stuff, I actually don't necessarily listen to like heavy bands when it comes to writing. I try to listen to more like, because I'm doing like melodies and stuff, even though I'm not traditionally singing or however you want to say it. I think I listen to like pop and hip hop. And I think that kind of helps me step outside of that. But then at the same time, it makes it a little different. Like it makes it sound a little cooler. So for me, that's what I do for it. But like Every Time I Die is like one of my favorite bands of all time, to bring it back to them. Who's some other of all time? I mean, there's a band from the UK called Fight Star. I love them. But they're like more post like hardcore emo style kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll all hop on the Every Time I Die train. Yeah. Cam, you want to throw some of yours out, and then I'll add a couple?
Well, I agree. I mean, Every Time I Die is like the center root of it, but it's weird because if you listen to us, we never like quite hit a lot of the stuff that's typical for our genre. Like, what we would call a breakdown, or like what most people think of as breakdown in the metalcore scenes. Like, we don't have breakdowns that act like that. What we would call a breakdown in our song feels a bit different. I think part of that is because like like instrumentally and vocally where we come from is not quite fully rooted. Like I grew up in the like early 2000s like post-hardcore pop punk scene. I know Zach had like a similar background. Jeff, I know, got into heavy music a little bit later, and our guitarist kind of all over the place with like anything from like emo, shoegaze, and all that. So it's like all of that is like an influence, but it's all directed through the lens of for people who have never fully committed to those, if that makes sense. Like we started like Chromorama intended to be a post-hardcore band when it first came out in the like vein of Senses Fail and Silver scene. Yeah. And our first guitarist was like, well, I write metalcore, like old-fashioned metalcore. So it just like once it all came together, it kind of spat out like somewhere near Every Time I Die. And we were like, fuck it, let's ride with that. Good enough, I guess.
That's really funny you bring that up, because I think what's really funny, and it's something I've never talked about in the podcast, is like what you listen to before rather than like what you write. And I think that like that is something really, really strange that happens where like I think that there are a lot of people that are like, yeah, no, I listen to a lot of Bright Eyes, but I mean, I write all this metal music just because that's just what's coming out. I think that it's completely like different. I think it comes from two parts of the brain anyways, where it's like stuff that you want to hear versus for the stuff that you are hearing. What would you say that outside of like what do you listen to rather than what your inspirations because like the inspiration part is like what you're drawing back, because you're writing forward and then looking back, well, I guess we were inspired by this. So like what do you all listen to? Like, you know, 2024 has kind of been a crazy year for like music. What have you guys been listening to and like jamming?
I'm pretty much any genre I'll take a stab at. Like obviously I do like metal and hardcore, but I do listen to a lot of like, I guess you could call it pop punk, but I think it's kind of the evolution of it, right? Like one of my favorite bands is like the Wonder Years. Like I love Pup, like all great bands that are, you know, people would maybe say pop punk, but I don't know that I would grab that.
I think it's emo. I think those are fucking emo bands. And like, so I think like the bigger umbrella is emo and pop punk is like a weird side of it. Wonder Years is totally just a fucking emo band. Yeah,
I totally agree. Yep. So, always listen to a ton of them. And I actually pulled up my Spotify to see some of the more recent stuff, and Better Lovers, the band from some of the Every Time I Die people, like jamming a ton of them. There's a band from Columbus that we actually just played a show with called Brave Face. Been listening to them a ton. They're awesome, and really excited for the new Greyhaven. It's an EP coming out, right, Jeff?
New EP,
stoked on that.
Hell yeah.
I was just saying, I mean, go ahead, Kim.
Oh, after you, I insist.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, like I said, going along like what I said earlier, like I listen to a lot of pop stuff. Really, like the new Ariana Grande record has just come out, and my wife loves her, and I've grown really attached to it. It's really, really good. It's really solid, and I like listening to stuff that like captures you in a different way. And I think her like melodies and stuff, she's just such an incredible singer, and it's just I don't know, just catches me in a different way. I love Post Malone. Not ashamed to say it is what it is.
Who fucking does it, man? That shit's fire the whole time.
Especially with his new stuff, right? And like, I think his new record was killer. We saw them live not too long ago. I think it was like June of last year, and it was just so good. And then New Greyhaven, like Louisville. I'm from Kentucky originally, so Kentucky boys, like I'm all about it. New Knocked Loose. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything that strikes. And then I think Billie Eilish just announced her new record today.
Yeah.
Coming out in May. And so really stoked on that.
It's actually funny. I literally was just talking a little shit on the record because I don't think that the record name is really enticing. I was like,
I said the same thing. Yeah.
I was super bummed to learn about that. I was like, that's boring.
Right. Comparatively. And it's one of those things when you think about it, you're like, well, I don't know if this.
I'll have to hear the record. Once I hear the record, I'll be fine. I'm like, okay, cool. It's going to be really dynamic and it'll be really fucking cool. But in the beginning, I'm like,
and I like the way she's a big artist, but she's going the whole way of like no singles.
Yeah.
So the full record's coming out in May. And we've talked about that before, like how important it is to do that, or like, do we want to go against the grain? And I think it's so cool for a big artist like her to take it into her hands and be like, listen, you're going to get the full record. Cause I think you lose a lot of that nowadays with like Spotify and singles and the algorithms and all that kind of stuff. So I love the fact that it's just like, you're going to get the whole record. she didn't even want anybody to know the track listing. So she tried to keep that like from anybody seeing that. And unfortunately it leaked, which that sucks, but that's what happens. But I just think that's so cool to see somebody on that level be like, I'm going to try just you get everything when you get it and just be happy with what you got and let me know, you know?
I think that there's like, so I was talking to a good friend of mine, Rosie. She is in this band. She's in a band called Checkmate. She does this thing called Parties Over and Losing Team, just super versatile. And we were talking earlier today in a podcast, and she and I were talking about how it's really important to be disruptive. So like if you're doing one thing a lot, grass is always greener, and that's a good thing. So try if you're going to do the corporate, marketing thing where you do the single, you do the algorithm, you waterfall the whole fucking thing. Ghost drop a song and keep everyone on their toes. Like no one should know your next move. Like I think that's kind of the vibe that you have to do. And Billie is a marketing genius. She made every single person on Instagram they're a close friend. Right. And that's like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in like all of like marketing music history. That's cool. It's perfect. It's genius.
Right. It plays in that whole thing too, where you see that, like, you can see that on X and all that stuff where people are like, oh, did you see this? Are you a close friend? And then you kind of see that trending, that style. So yeah, that was really cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that marketing is, something that it's weird to have to start thinking about it because there's this moment where you join a band and everything's just chill and you're just writing music. And then you start playing shows and you're like, wait a minute. Yeah. I have to like get an Instagram and then I have to start telling people because there's this innate thing. I like, okay, are there any bands that don't do that are like doing well or just are just so happy to do it? I don't, maybe that's just not a thing that we do as fucking humans, but like, I think that everyone wants a full packed show. And I think that having to do all this stuff kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about this like at practice all the time. Like we would love to just be able to like write music, record it, put it out, play shows and not have to deal with any of the bullshit of like, hey, we have to put this post out at 12 p.m. because that's when, they say is the best time to release it. And, we got to announce this a week out to make sure the proper time is there. And that's definitely, I would say, all of our least favorite part of doing it. But you're totally right that you have to. You have to do it, right? Like,
dude, I miss those days of like early MySpace or like kind of late MySpace when we were like teenagers in bands and you just throw up a shitty song that you recorded in your garage with a mixer with someone who didn't know how to record and it just gets thousands of views even though you didn't promote it because people just find it. Like that was the best.
God, like I actually I haven't said this yet in the pod. I used to be in a band called the Fedoras. And it was not a good thing. I was like fucking 17 and it was like 2005. And I remember my favorite to this day, my favorite, outside of MySpace, I think is still like was the best music centered social media platform ever to exist, and no one will ever do it again.
Yep.
It was a window of
Completely
opportunity.
agree.
Totally, yeah.
It was perfect. But there was this website called fucking Pure Volume.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found so much
They-
music.
they advocate for it,
Pure
yeah, all the
Volume
time,
changed
yeah.
everything. There is
Yep.
before Pure Volume for me and after Pure Volume for me. That is how I
Right.
I think every Zoomer musician like it missed it, and like everyone that is like a fucking millennial that probably saw it and like explored through that. I remember I found like the Felix Culpa through that. 10 Second Epic. Like there were so many good bands that I found just because they had good algorithmic shuffling shit. It was just. And it was free. You could just upload.
Yep.
And that's where it would be. It was like, that was kind of the SoundCloud of the day where you would send, I think your press kit, but it would be your Pure Volume to places. And it wouldn't be on email. It would be like on a letter. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, to this day, I'm still trying to find a song that I found on Pure Volume like 20 years ago, and it kills me that I can't find it.
Yeah, there's like actually you bring up something really, really interesting that just happened. Does everyone know the band Camp Trash? Or heard of Camp Trash?
Yes. Yep.
So one of the main guys who Camp Trash is like this famous Twitter guy, Franzia Mom, Keegan. He had just posted this thing. Someone was posting about Bandcamp has started deleting old profiles.
Oh, no.
And so, like, this is like download time, everybody, because like, whoever's been running all their stuff, there's a bunch of bands that are saying, "Hey, our old stuff, or like my old band that I used to, I go to this website to listen to my shit from 8 years ago. It's gone now."
Oh man.
You're touching on a
It's
thing.
been a bad time.
Yeah.
You're touching on a thing I think about all the time, and like I'm paranoid about it, but we live in a great age where everything is online and everybody can get access to everything way easier. Like I love that instead of having to hope someone buys our CD, that I can put songs on Spotify and anybody can have access to them. And I'm also terrified of the impermanence of digital assets.
Yeah.
The fact that I have like a Steam library full of video games that someday I won't own and that'll just disappear. The fact that Bandcamp can just remove a song and if I don't have it backed up and if nobody else downloaded it, that thing is just gone. I understand we're really in a blessed age of it where we should be really thankful for how easy it is to access and share this stuff. But I'm still so scared that it's all like based on corporate whim and it could all disappear so easily like that. And then you just have to hope that somebody got a torrent of it or something up for you.
There needs to be, I think that one of the spirit of DIY, I think, is strangely physical media.
Yeah.
And that has been very, very interesting for me coming from a person. Before I entered this scene, I was like, I hadn't bought like a physical game or like a physical, like anything in so long because I thought it was just cluttered space. And I never kind of, I was like, no, I'm a modern motherfucker. I don't need, I don't need physical copy of anything. It's right here on my PlayStation 5, baby. It's here on my phone or my iPod or whatever. And over the last like 6 months, I'm like, oh, I need to start getting everything. I'm going to start buying fucking cassettes. I'm going to start buying CDs again. Like I have turned a whole room of my house into like a retro thing. Like I bought a VHS player. Like I am all about physical fucking media right now. And I think everyone should be, because you're absolutely right. We are going to lose art if we don't do that. So speaking of all that stuff, those kind of decisions about making stuff, the financial part of it, how are those fucking conversations like within your guys' band? And like, is it always like a friction point? I feel like these are always the moments where it's like, okay, this is how you test your band, is saying, Harry, are we all ready to split this fucking big cost?
Yeah.
So it's so funny that you say that, considering we were having a discussion about CDs and cassette purchases and quantities and amounts right before this call.
Literally working up to release. So you have to decide like, what do we want? Because then also there's like vinyl in play, because like our guitarist is a huge vinyl advocate, but like for a band like us, where does that leave you? And that goes into this financial decision. It's like you look at that price tag and you're like, oh, I know we're all like full-time working individuals, but man, $2,500 for 100 vinyl that we're not going to sell kind of seems rough, but
yeah,
I think luckily meeting these guys, and I think this band in general, we've been pretty lucky as far as like when we came into this, we always knew, hey, we're 4 individuals. We have full-time jobs. We have what we can do and what we can't do. And, we're going to split up every cost. We're going to split up every decision. We're going to make it without any kind of like, we don't really like, I don't really get a lot of friction from us, which I think that's lucky. Obviously there are some things you got to stand up for and some things you want to talk about, but I think we all come to it with a rational mind of like, there is a goal that we all want to figure out when it comes to printing, like t-shirts. We were just talking about t-shirts too, because that's a whole big thing. Because I mean, that's where all your money's going to come from as a band, and realistically. So, but yeah, I think we got pretty lucky. I think we do pretty okay. I mean, we all understand that we all have our different priorities outside of the band and the band itself. And when we started the band, we were like, hey, this needs to be an equal share. Let's figure this out together. And I think that
it helps.
Yeah.
It helps a lot that we all have, like, that we are able to remember, like, none of us are doing anything to spite each other. Everybody is thinking the thing they are thinking to try to advance and, like, benefit the band. So because of that, you're kind of able to go, like, okay, well, I know you're not, like, trying to spite me personally. So let's take the ego out of everything and just kind of address all of this too. I will say one thing that helps us financially, like, we'll spend money where we need to. We're also really good at DIYing. Where applicable. Baby. We've designed our own shirts. Zach has literally, like with his wife, printed shirts before. Zach and I film and edit all the music videos that we've done, minus like one person was a camera tech on like one music video. Like we do. I mean, heck, Jeff's even provided artwork for releases before, like, which I really encourage. Like, foster those skills. Like, I didn't know how to edit videos before this band. Learned how to edit, then I learned how to film. Bam! Now I have like an actual side hustle. Like,
dude, honestly, it's so sick. Like learning all this stuff. Like, not all right. I was in an old band, and it's called Ryoki Center, and the main guy wanted to always outsource. Always wanted to outsource. I'm like, and me and the drummer were always like, why? Why would you want to, like, let's like learn how to do this? And he's like, well, I want this done faster. And I'm like, no, dude, I think that it's way important to like learn this shit, because let's get more ingrained into this whole community. And like, we could be able to help other people out with these skills that we learn with all that shit. It's just so much fun learning how to edit, buying a camera. We took our album art on a fucking Nintendo DS. And like,
that's awesome. That's so cool.
I'm so in it. And because I looked it up, and there's like a bunch of weird stuff that happens when you take a picture on Nintendo DS when it comes to filters and stuff. So we were like, let's like explore it. And so it worked, because we're just like, let's just do it ourselves. Let's like figure this out. I love the DIY scene because I think everyone fucking hustles in like the coolest way. And it's not stressful because it's so fun the whole time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And, you know, like, I think people obviously deserve to get paid for their work. And I'm not saying that with what I'm about to say, but like, it's been beneficial for us to make our own music videos, because like we could go hire somebody for, you know, $1,000, $2,000 to make us a music video, or we can make it ourselves. And then we have $1,000 or $2,000 to go book a tour. Right. Like,
exactly.
Like that's money that we've saved there. And, you know, maybe if we, you know, get to a place where, you know, the band is making regular money and stuff like that, then great. We will go, you know, hire the video people that we really respect and really like. But right now, if we can do that stuff, we're going to do it on our own.
I think there's a no budget time. I think it's like in the first couple of years, like hiring people require a budget. And so if I'm like, the only thing that like, I think in like level 0 is it's no budget, and we're not even buying anything. We're just trying to play fucking shows and like make music in general. And then level 1 is, hey, we might make a t-shirt, and it's deciding to like buy a printing press and do all that shit, and like, or like tie-dye shit and just stamp names on it. There's like all this, there's so many fun options. And then like once you get to like level 5, level 6, it's like, okay, that's when there's like maybe a budget for like outsourcing something. And it's because you're too busy with all, like, there's too much momentum. This fucking treadmill is like on 6 miles an hour, and we're all running. I don't have time to like learn something new. So now that there's management involved, let's have budgets and we'll do this whole thing. But like up until that moment where everything is like still everything, like you're in a storage unit or you're like, like all the bands that are doing right now, I think this is like the most fun time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, we've been so lucky to be friends with and play with so many bands that have very similar DIY mindsets to us. It's super, super refreshing. And I would say that's really kind of what's happening with the Indianapolis scene here as well. Like there is a DIY mindset of people are just deciding like, hey, we're going to go book these shows and we're going to build a community. And that stuff is so cool.
It's something I find interesting about that, like, kind of mindset, and I'm interested like to hear your like what this is like in Nashville. But I feel like there are two mindsets. It's either full DIY or it's like, this is our first single. Let's spend $5,000, go halfway across the country, and we'll spend another $5,000 on a music video because the person's name attached to this who made these things will give us like a viral boost. And I feel like it's like split down the middle between that, which again, I know I am biased, but
in Nashville, okay. So one of the craziest things is that Nashville's weird because it's also songwriter capital, right? So like, so there's a lot of like, so like in the buckets of like band stuff, there's also a completely separate bucket of like songwriter stuff and like the requirements in order to do that thing. And that shit is so secretive. Like I've been here for 8 years. I have no idea where they meet. And like, it's like a group and like, maybe it's on a Discord or something, but I'm pretty sure it's all in person. And like, you got to get a tattoo or a branding or something. A fucking songwriter here for Morgan Wallen. But when it comes to the band stuff, and then there's also two different types of bands because Nashville is like, it truly is like the high rise band and then like the low clubs band. But then the low clubs band also are on the bottom of the fucking, big city shit. So like, you have, people that just want to play, like to be a guitarist downtown, on Broadway. And like, you have to like, in order to audition, you have to know like 100 songs and they're going to tell you, hey, all right, play this one. And then you have to play it fucking perfect. And you got to do 4 or 5 of those. And they're like, okay, cool. Do you know the list? And like, there's a list of all the songs you're supposed to know. And then it is high paying position, ish. Like it's more just that it's like, you'll get, possibly, entry level shit from this, but it's so gatekeeping. It's so gross. But when it comes to like DIY other stuff for bands, it's definitely like a cross between full DIY where people are learning how to print their own shirts and everyone can go and learn Canva. Like that's the easiest shit in the fucking world. I think the DIY thing is again getting towards like the more camcorder thing. Like no one's buying a red camera, like in like trying to film something really ridiculous. Everything is getting just like 90s about it. Everyone's like, well, let's film something on VHS because then we can say it was filmed on VHS and like let's like,
bring it back. Yeah.
Like, and so I think that's where I think Nashville specifically is going, which is really cool. But it's definitely like, again, we have lots of places that harbor that kind of talent. And there's a lot of great community down here. Is Indianapolis pretty similar?
Yeah. But what you just said about like the VHS mindset, like that is heavily the aesthetic I've noticed right now too. Like that, like so DIY that it's like
going backwards in time.
I broke my lens. Hell yeah. Now it looks worse. And like in a genuinely like positive aesthetic way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's so sick.
And I would say, a big thing here too is like, it's definitely like I would say the punk scene is kind of the thing that's on the upswing here. And there's very much that like, hey, we're going to have all ages shows. Like we're not going to keep anybody out. Like everybody's welcome at this stuff. Like we're going to find these venues and we're just going to have as many shows as possible, which is super cool. That's kind of what it's like here now.
Yeah. I think you have your building of like, we always consider this to be a good thing, but you sort of have your buildup of bands, like these bands that everybody likes. So like you want to play shows with these guys. So you have a lot of them putting on different shows or playing together, but then it's opening this room for other people to hop on that you might not know of. Like you see a lot of newer, like new blood bands around here that like are hopping on some of these band shows, and it's just getting them that audience that they like, that I would have killed to have, like when I first started, you know, like when you're playing to like 2 people, you know, but this time. So yeah, I think it's really cool to see. And I don't think it's very like genre specific. Like I think hardcore is getting really big around here too.
Yeah.
But
in general.
you still have, just in general, definitely like on the upswing, but like you still have like each venue kind of helping to cater to what that individual like would be into. And then you have those ones that kind of run the gamut on all of them. Like we have this one here called Healer. It's like this art institute, and you could go see a hardcore show or you could go see a punk show, and then like they'll have some art exhibit with like pop bands or like bands that dress up like wizards, like you know,
dude, okay,
something like that. So I think that's really cool.
So what is like is that like your favorite like new spot?
Yeah, it's definitely one of mine. Healer is so
coming
rad.
up for sure. Yeah, especially for DIY.
Yep.
There's a place here in Nashville. It's a fucking it's a game shop where you play Magic the Gathering and Warhammer and shit.
No,
They've started throwing shows. It's called the Arcane Workshop, and it's like it's going to be one of the best DIY spaces over the next like year or so, and I'm like so hype about it. Like as a Magic the Gathering player, I'm like, this is like everything is like coming together, the holy trinity of everything I fucking love.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's so cool when you take cool spaces and say, let's just play a show. Like I think that there needs to be. I think there's something in the air where people are doing that more. And I think it's never been more exciting to be like in a band and like having music coming out right now. There's nothing more exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, and Healer very much has that DIY mindset. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they even call themselves Healer DIY, or they did for a while. Yeah.
I mean, essentially, it's just like a bunch of guys who got together and was like, we want to rent a space to allow not only art, because like I said, this place is a art exhibit. So you walk in and people rent out like certain spots and they can do whatever they want. So you have like, there's like statues with like vaginas for faces, and like there's a big dragon, like Chinese Oriental dragon, like hanging from there. And then they have like a game room where you could go play like PlayStation 1 and like Guitar Hero or something, you know. And then they have like a bar and you could go get a drink if you want to, but they don't like anybody can come to the show. So like sick. It just works out. It's really fun. But we also have like there's a place called the Hoosier Dome, which is big for like, that's like the home venue that people know around here, especially from way back. And then you have your more like, I wouldn't say like high class, but like you have like the bigger rooms. So you have like the hi-fi and you have like pubs, and like you have some smaller like pub like spots opening up. So you kind of you can do like, you pretty much play anywhere around here.
Oh yeah.
And
another one
cool. I think that's really dope. Yeah.
Another one I definitely want to give a shout out to. There's this bar we really like here called Black Circle Brewing. It's kind of like a, I don't know, an 80s aesthetic. Like they have a bunch of VHSs in there, and they're always showing movies while bands are playing on TVs around. That's and there's sick. There's a restaurant built in, and they have pinball and stuff in there, and it's just a really, really cool space. So that's definitely another one of our favorites. We love playing there anytime we can.
So there's something that I ask. Cool. There's something I ask every band, which is, what do y'all do for a fucking living? Because I'm not trying to put anybody down, but no one's fucking doing this for their full-time job yet. Right. So what do y'all do for your day jobs or night jobs, whatever it is?
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Mine's pretty simple. I'm just a grocery clerk. You know, I do it for the time I get off to do the band, and then I get it for health insurance. So, you know, I mean, I work 40 hours a week, a normal job. Like, they know I work hard, and that's all I need, and it allows me to do this. So, hey, you know.
Fuck yeah.
Go ahead, Cam.
I was going to say, I am a database coordinator for a medical nonprofit. So, you know,
hell yeah, dude. Excel all day, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I'm a technical recruiter for an engineering company. So.
Interesting. I work in tech, actually in like podcast tech. Is the recruiting thing, has that been weird at this time of year?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, we primarily work in like manufacturing. So like a lot of companies work on like a fiscal year. So like their year's just starting and all that weirdness. And yeah, it's a little new to me. Prior to that, I actually worked in college admissions for like a decade. So.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's actually, I've never talked to anybody that did that.
Yeah. No, we would always joke, no one went to college to be a college admissions person. We all just kind of ended
even
up
though
there.
you would have the best job. That's like, you know, hey, I got into college, so I can tell people how to get into college too.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Well, I want to play a song of y'all's. What song would you like me to play? Do you have anything on release that you wanted to play or anything, that you already have up? I'd be happy to play it.
Yeah. How would you guys feel? So I think when this podcast goes up, we will actually be putting out a new song on Friday. So April 19th. So
this will come out 2 Wednesdays from now.
Okay. Gotcha.
So this will come out next Wednesday.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, do you guys want to?
Which will be
the 17th?
It will be. It will be the 17th.
Yeah. So we have a new song coming out on the 19th. So maybe we'll send that new one your way and get it out there a couple days early if everybody's all right with that.
Sounds fucking sick to me. What's it called?
It is called Another Sun. So,
perfect. On Eclipse Day. Fantastic.
Yep.
Right.
So
just so happen to line up. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'll say about that song is, you know, we talked at the beginning that we kind of go back and forth on like, hey, we're on the catchy side of like metal or hardcore, or hey, we're on the more heavy side. And this is probably the heaviest song that we've put out. So we're putting out a new EP in May that we haven't officially announced yet, but there's a good variety on the catchy and the heavy side for both of us. Kind of something for everybody on there.
All right, so here is Another Sun by Chromorama. So that's it, y'all. Thank you guys so much for fucking coming and hanging out. Indianapolis sounds sick as hell. Just come through Nashville, or I'll come through Indianapolis. Would love to see you guys. And that's basically it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you take it easy, guys.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.